Jon Jones will never fight at the UFC ever again. He recently came out with a long ass tweet saying the UFC to basically release him. I'm going to be showing you guys here a few clips, and I'm also going to be showing you the tweets where he officially asked to be released. Now, I'm going to be showing you this clip first because Dana White said that he never ever said that Jon Jones was not in the conversations for the White House card. I just want to put this clip first so you can see the contradiction from that day. I'm pretty sure this was the press conference of UFC 326, if I'm not mistaken, to the press conference of one of like the Sufa boxing events. Watch this first though.
There is speculation, of course, that it's Jon Jones.
No, it's not.
Was Jon
Ever, which I told you guys 100,000 times, was Jon Jones even remotely in my mind to fight at the White House? I wouldn't. First of all, I've told you why I wouldn't do it. And number two, some guy with, meta glasses on filmed him talking about his hips, that his hips are so bad. And I don't know if you guys saw that flag football game where he can barely run. Jon Jones he retired because of his hips. He's got arthritis in his hips. Add that on top of all the other reasons that I wouldn't. The Jon Jones thing is bullshit. I'm not saying they weren't talking to Jon Jones and that Jon Jones wasn't interested in the fight. And what was even crazier is Jon Jones came out and was like, I'm in negotiations right now for the White House fight, after I had already sent a text to his lawyer saying, never going to happen ever.
Is it fair to say then Jon Jones is retired and this is the end of his time?
Yes.
Okay.
Very fair.
There is
Well, there it is. At the end, at least he said that it could be the end of his time, and I think that is true. I think it's the end of his time, but obviously he is lying about being in the conversation. Jon Jones was telling the truth when he came out saying that he's in negotiations with the White House card. I don't know why Dana. I mean, it's Dana White. He lies about everything. At this point, we know that, and yeah, I mean, I'm going to show you guys now the tweets. Here it is. I'm going to read the entire thing. He said, Jon Jones said, "Hey everyone, I wanted to address Dana White comments from this past weekend because the truth matters to me and the fans. Dana, you were heated about why I am not on the White House card, but let's clear something up. My team and I were actually negotiating with the UFC for that fight. Real negotiations. I even came down from my original number, and what I was offered in return, I was low balled." Now I'm gonna finish. Let me comment on that last bit there, because I actually believe Jon Jones here. You know why I believe Jon Jones? Because Ilia Toporia's manager today, a few hours ago, even said it himself, that he was offered a amount of money and he immediately declined it because it was too low. And this is Ilia freaking Topuria we're talking about, guys. And they're doing it to also Jon Jones, so that's why I believe that is true, that he was definitely lowballed. But let's keep going. Yes, I have arthritis in my hip and it's painful, but that doesn't mean I can't fight. So let me get this straight. If I had accepted the lowball offer, certainly my hip would have been fine and I'd be on the White House card. That doesn't make sense. I even received stem cell treatment last week to get ready for the White House card, and training camp was scheduled to start today. I was preparing to be ready. I understand business deals fall through sometimes, but going out publicly and saying things that aren't true isn't right. Fights, hearing that I'm done, I'm disappointing. Especially when as recently as Friday, UFC was calling me, trying to get me on that White House card for much lower number. If the UFC truly feels like I'm done, then I respectfully ask to be released from my contract today. No more spins, no more games. Thank you for the real fans who know what's up. Bones out. And this tweet went absolutely viral immediately because, I mean, Jon Jones, I mean, he asked for it to be released from his contract out of nowhere. I know, UFC fighters have problems with the UFC all the time. The UFC is just, it's scummy how they do it. That's an obvious thing, but him asking for to be released from his contract publicly, it is a little insane to me, right? I think he's had enough with the UFC lying so much, especially Dana White. Let's just say how it is. It's Dana White. He always lies and lies and lies. It could be the most meaningless thing, and he will still lie about it. And I think Jon Jones has had enough from this, seriously. But I will say, I don't think Dana White is going to release Jon Jones, because if you guys remember, Ngannou got released from the PFL and now he's fighting under most valuable promotions. I think he's gonna be on the undercard of I don't even remember her freaking name anymore, but you guys know who I'm talking about, the woman who got KO'd by Holly Holm and some other girl from like the 2000s. You know, I don't really know. It's that's a little too far from where I wasn't even born yet. I'm just gonna be real with it. But look, Jon Jones, right? He got lowballed, right? He got lowballed, and I do agree with him getting lowballed, because he ducked Tom Aspinall, right? He didn't take $30 million, which is the rumor is, which I think it's true, even though it's a rumor. He was reportedly going to get $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall, and he declined. He freaking declined. I think he's going to think about him declining that fight for the rest of his life. He really is, because he's not gonna get nowhere near close to that number unless he makes a fight with Ngannou for that card that's happening very, very soon. And that's why I think Dana White is not gonna release him. But yeah, he definitely got lowballed. I think the number this time for the Alex Pereira fight was closer to 15 million, and I guess he didn't really like that number. And to be honest, I think he should have just went with it. I'm just gonna be real with you. I think he should have just picked it, because even though the Alex Pereira fight is bigger than the Tom Aspinall fight, and obviously they're gonna bring in more money with the Alex Pereira fight, he declined a $30 million bag to fight Tom frickin' Aspinall. They're not gonna give him a bigger bag because he declined the first one, right? They're not gonna satisfy him, because the UFC does not do that. You can be the biggest star in the UFC like Conor McGregor, and they won't even give you fights. They just treat you like you're a nobody, even though you could carry the promotion for 5 years, and they will still not satisfy you, because at the end of the day, everyone is a number on a cheat for the UFC. There's no favors, no nothing. You're just a number. You're literally just a number. The UFC fighters need to start uniting together and fighting against the UFC and the pay. They need to start. They really do need to make like a fighter union or something, because this is getting out of hand. They're doing this to Jon Jones, guys. Yes, I understand that Jon Jones dug Tom Aspinall. There's been a lot of hate recently for Jon Jones, but imagine this, guys. If they're doing this to Jon Jones, imagine your favorite fighter when he gets to this point, when he deserves this kind of money, and they're not giving it to him because they want to save a little bit of money from the $7.7 billion that they got from Paramount. You know what I mean? You gotta think about it in a fighter's perspective. Because if they're doing this to to literally the baddest man that has ever stepped in the UFC, right? If you put the filters off and you don't count the PEDs, right? Of course. Imagine what they're going to do at the end of, you know, your favorite fighter's career, or even right now. The contracts that your favorite fighters have, they're not really that good. You know, they bring in more than they're actually getting, right? This is getting out of hand, in my opinion. If you guys saw, also, even Tom Aspinall came out and started defending Jon Jones out of all people. He even said it himself, you should give Jon Jones what he deserves. I think Tom Aspinall should have said a little more, a little bit more. Maybe probably said like, look, I know he backed out of this fight that we were supposed to make, and I don't want to, obviously he can't confirm the number that he was, that Jon Jones was being offered and all that, but I feel like he should have, talked more a little bit about it. Like, look, he deserves this amount, like, I feel like Tom Aspinall talking about this is a huge deal, and I feel like more fighters need to start speaking about this, man. Like, for example, the Conor Benn situation, $50 million. A few big fighters, started saying like, wait a minute, like if Conor Benn, somebody that I literally never heard of in my entire life, is getting 15 mil, and how much is a Conor McGregor worth? How much is a Jon Jones worth? How much is a Tom Aspinall worth? You know what I mean? And and Tom Aspinall's probably getting like what, like 500 to show, 500 to win. Like, it really puts everything into perspective, and I think fighters really do need to unite. I know they tried doing it a bunch of times already, and it never, it never ends up working. But I really do think, I feel like we are starting. I feel like the UFC fighters are starting to understand how greedy the UFC really is. I also commented on Eddie Hearn, the Eddie Hearn situation about Tom Aspinall going into his management company and all that, and I thought it was a horrible idea, right? I still do. I still think it's a horrible idea, but I think Eddie Hearn being able to see people's contracts, and obviously him coming from boxing, I really do think it could expose a little bit more of how greedy the UFC business really is. I think we're gonna see, I don't want to say like leaks from him, but I think we're gonna hear some rumors on how UFC contracts work in the next few months, because Eddie Hearn came in the Ariel Helwani show today, and like he was laughing at Tom Aspinall's contract. Imagine that Tom Aspinall was getting laughed at while Eddie Hearn was reading through his contract. I mean, that must be absolutely embarrassing. It really is that bad. And if you think about it even more, like, these greedy ass UFC owners or whoever that, like, these people even do, like, it's per fight. It's not even like a day like NFL. Like, the greediness really does get out of hand. But yeah, let me get back to the Jon Jones situation, because I don't really know how I feel about this. I feel like Dana White should have just paid him what he deserved. Like, let's be real, he deserved it, right? I know he dug Tom Aspinall. I think he dug Tom Aspinall, but I think he's done so much for the sport that I feel like he deserved it, and we deserve the Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira fight at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I really do believe we deserve that fight. That fight should have happened. I think he should have gave the 30 million to Jon Jones. And think about it. Just think about this. They were gonna give 30 million to Jon Jones to fight Tom Aspinall, right? But they're gonna make more with the Alex Pereira fight. So no, why not just give him the 30 million? This is what I'm talking about. The greed on these people are absolutely insane. Now, you could also say, this is karma for what he did. But, like, I feel like him ducking Jon Jones, him ducking Tom Aspinall shouldn't get to this extent. This is a little extreme, him being released. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And then Dana White throwing him under the bus, bringing up his injuries and all that. I mean, he did that with he literally did that with Ngannou, talking about he was ducking Jon Jones, and he also did it with Jon Jones, and he was ducking and Gato, you know. Dana White, such a weird guy, man. Such a weird guy. At this point, I truly do believe we are better off without Dana White. You know, shout out to him for building the sport where it is. But I think he already reached his peak and he's on his way down. You know, he's not even focused on the sport. He doesn't really have that hunger. He completed everything he had to do. I think we need to move on. I think Hunter Campbell, I think if he takes that role, I will say this, I don't think Hunter Campbell really wants to really take that role right now, because I think it would be too much for him. But we need somebody else. If it's not Hunter Campbell, maybe keep Hunter Campbell, you know, managing the contracts and the matchmaking, and put somebody else as the face of the UFC. But I think they need to replace Dana White, because, you know, the pettiness and the way he lies about everything, and the way he throws people under the bus. I think this is just a little too much. We need to change a pace. We need somebody hungry and somebody that actually wants to grow this sport, because I am getting tired of these Instagram live fight announcement. Like, it's just the little things, man. It's just the little things. This is a business that got $7.7 billion, and we're announcing fights on an Instagram freaking live. You know, I'm tired of this. Just everything that has been happening lately. The fighters are tired. The fans are tired. I think Dana White is the one that needs to be released, in my opinion. But I'm gonna be ending it there. I know I talked about more than Jon Jones in this video, but this is the reason why Jon Jones is, you know, retiring or asking to be released, not just because of the lies of Dana White, but just an accumulation of everything, you know, the low balls, the lies, everything. And it's just not, it's not just him that's frustrated, it's everyone in the community. Everyone is. But I'm going to be showing you guys here the last clip before I end the video of Dana White kind of dismissing again, you know, that he's gonna basically act like Jon Jones wasn't even offered or anything. You know, he's just gonna dismiss it and say, you know, we talked to everybody, acting like Jon Jones and versus Alex Pereira was an almost a done deal. Watch this.
But this morning, Jon Jones went on a bit of a Twitter tirade, and then he ended up deleting them. Have you seen his comments? No. Or he basically very heavily pushed back on you, saying that there were no negotiations. And then
I never said there were no negotiations. I never said that. I said, were they talking to Jon Jones? They talked to everybody. Everybody was talked to. Not one word of what I said was not true about the whole Jon Jones thing. And how many times have I sat up here and said, he's not fighting at the White House? No. And have you guys not all seen the video of the dude with the meta glasses on when he didn't know he was being filmed, telling him that his hips are fucking shot and he needs hip replacement? Did you not see the videos of him running on the flag football game? And what did I say that wasn't true? It was all true. And you guys all bust my balls about how much I love Jon Jones. And John's the greatest of all time. No way in hell Jon Jones is going to be booked for the White House card. It wasn't going to happen. But the matchmakers were out talking to everybody, seeing what was possible, and they brought me every possible fight that could be made.
And there you go. They talk to everybody. Like, bro, we know you lowballed Jon Jones. We know you lowballed Ilia Topuria. Like, we know Jon Jones was in the conversation. The White House card wasn't even done before what? I think it was Sunday when it was actually finished. And he lied to us about that too. He was said the White House card is all done like a week before, and it wasn't even done. It literally wasn't even done. Again, the little lies, everything, dude. It's so freaking annoying. I do not understand how Paramount got absolutely fleeced by Dana White. I mean, Dana White is the greatest scammer of all time. He pulled off the greatest scam in history, getting $7.7 billion from Paramount. Absolutely insanity. But like I said, look at him throwing him under the bus, lying about him, you know, dismissing him in a way that like acting like he wasn't going to be fighting at the White House card ever. Like, brother, you literally lowballed him. You called him Friday or Saturday or whatever day it was that you were actually building the house, the White House card. You lowballed him. He said no, and you were mad that he said no. So now you're doing this. But again, I'm not gonna, you know, go on another rant again. I'm done. You get the point. You get the point. I understand where Jon Jones is coming from for asking to be released from his contract. I am a little mad that we aren't going to be getting Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones, but you never know. We are kind of, you know, a long way from the White House card, so anything can happen. And Dana White said himself that, you know, he's probably looking to add one more fight onto the card, so you never know. You know, something can happen. We actually might somehow, some way, maybe get Jon Jones versus Alex. Maybe Cyril Gahn, you know, they tell him to pull out or some shit. You know, that would be absolutely amazing. Maybe Islam Makhachev, you know, I don't know, fucking recovers faster than he intended to, and we get that fight instead of Gagey. You never know, right? But I'm gonna be ending it there. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about all this, about Jon Jones asking for it to be released. But make sure you guys leave a like, hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button with the bell on, because I stream every single event and I do live companions for those events. So make sure you guys hit the bell on so you don't miss, Jesus Christ, so you don't miss those. But with that being said, I'm out.